one thing that we decided to do was to not work with a marketing agency. They will never be as engaged and passionate about your brand as you are yourself. We
You know you're
decided
selling this to a guy who runs a marketing agency, right?
just need to keep your head down and keep pushing, and you will find a solution. I have learned more during these years as a startup than I did during the same amount of time in a bigger company. As a team, you can complement each other in a different way. In the beginning, we started to freak out, like, oh, what's wrong? Why did this happen? Wow, we have been able to create something that people love. And then you just want to just share that with more people.
Hi, and welcome to the Seven Figure Foundation series. And today I can welcome Filip Carlberg. Hi, Filip. How are you doing?
Nice to be here.
Cool, great. Good to have you here, and I'm very excited to hear your story. Filip is the co-founder of BRU Tea, and he will share us his story about how the brand was formed and the challenges that they had, and also the successes that they had. And basically what we're going to do today is we're going to give e-commerce a bit of a face, because what you oftentimes see and what you also hear around you is that e-commerce gets a bit of a cold face, a bit of an image of just like money grabbing web stores that are out there that are trying certain tactics to get people to buy. And I can definitely also say, after having met Filip, I can definitely say that BRU Tea is not one of those brands. And I know there are a lot more brands out there that created something from either a passion that they have or an issue that they saw. And in this series, we want to highlight that passion. We want to show the people behind the brand, because there are not all people that just want to make a quick buck. There are a lot of people out there who actually want to help, or they want to just solve a problem that people have. And I think also in the case of with Filip and with Bogdan, is because they had an issue themselves that they just wanted to solve, and they know that it also was something that other people were struggling with. So, Filip, again, thanks for being here. Very excited to hear your story and to hear more about BRU Tea.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I actually wanted to kind of start off with what inspired Bogdan also to create BRU Tea, and how did you get involved in this as a co-founder?
Yeah, sure. So I think, Bogdan, he's a serial entrepreneur and engineer who loves to optimize and automate things, but he's also a passionate tea drinker. And he was kind of frustrated. Why wasn't there a simple way to make a good cup of tea available? When he walked into the store, he could find hundreds of different coffee machines, but for tea there were basically just the kettle. So in the end, he decided to develop his own product. He built the first prototype himself. And around that time, he wanted to find a co-founder, someone to join him on the journey. And I was actually looking for an opportunity to start something, a new company. And I think we clicked, as you probably would say. We agreed on a lot of things and started working together immediately.
It's very important, to have that click, that you kind of, you're not there to, okay, how can we just get this business profitable, but like you also just enjoy and you like doing it together and understand each other in the whole journey.
Yeah, definitely. I would say there's a need for a mix, both of the like your knowledge and experience and so on, that you complement each other in a good way,
Yeah.
but also that you work together as a team on a personal level. Very important.
Yeah. And what interested me is that you said that Bogdan worked himself on the first prototype. Is that prototype still somewhere available?
Yeah, I believe he does have it somewhere. He was actually quite good at documenting and recording things. So we have these binders with pictures and all the historical development of the first prototypes. So at some point in the future, when we build the brew museum, those things can be on display there.
That's cool. Yeah, and what you often see is that when someone is very good at something, like for example, Bogdan is an engineer. Otherwise, you cannot create like a prototype like that yourself. You're kind of lacking other things, like you said, you know. So it's good that you complement each other. So you were there more to be, if I understand correctly, to say, okay, this is how we can get this business off the ground.
Yeah, I mean, Bogdan, he knows a lot of things. He's a really cool guy with great experience and knowledge. But yeah, as a team, you can complement each other in a different way. I come from the sales and marketing side, been building a lot of brands globally. So I think, yeah, we complement each other in a good way to build Brew moving forward.
Yeah. And how were those early days when you started to kind of connect and feel like, hey, you know, there's a click and let's get it off the ground? Like, how was the kind of chemistry between you, and what were the early like issues or struggles that you came across?
Well, a lot of things. I think what we have done really well is to be really open with the kind of nothing is impossible mindset that when we run into a problem or a hurdle of some kind, we just had to figure out how to solve it, how to get around it. That was a big learning for me personally because I didn't have startup experience from before. So um, to me, you know, to really take things in your own hands and solve
Mm-hmm.
problems every day was a little bit of a new thing, but great fun. And I have learned more during these years as a startup than I did during the same amount of time at a bigger company, for example, because then you're more specialized in your own little
Mm-hmm.
niche of the business usually.
Yeah, it also allows you to acquire more skills because you need to know a bit of everything.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And do you sometimes feel like maybe like giving up, or that you were like, oof, this, why did I start this?
Yeah, I mean, we've had massive challenges. Just to mention a few, maybe the first one was, of course, the pandemic came in a really interesting time for us. We had done a very successful crowdfunding campaign, and we were super excited. Like we had validation, so to speak, about our product. But
Mm-hmm.
then the pandemic caused a lot of delays for us, which was challenging for sure. But we were actually lucky and managed to use all the feedback we received from our backers to implement and in the end launch a better product than we had first planned. I mean, other problems, we are a hardware business, so funding has
Mm-hmm.
always been a big question for us. We've actually run out of stock several times, and I keep hearing that, yeah, that's a positive problem to have. But for
Yeah,
us, I can agree with that in one way, but on the
in
other
one
hand,
way.
for us, it was also frustrating because we knew we could have sold so much more if we
Mm-hmm.
had enough cash flow to produce enough stock.
Yeah, and of course you also don't want to disappoint customers. You know that they are
Yeah,
like, ah, they don't have the stuff in stock, and you don't know if they will come back as well.
yeah.
Yeah, so you kind of turned a bit of a negative, the Corona pandemic, into a bit of a positive thing. Like, okay, let's just iterate and improve the machine that we have right now. And was that something, because it was a difficult time? Was it sometimes challenging that you were like, did you have enough funds to do these innovations? How did you manage to navigate through that time?
Yes, I would say we had enough funds for the product development, but it was a difficult time with all the delays. Of course, people are starting to get frustrated because they are waiting for a product that they want to have.
Yeah.
But it was, like you say, it's turned into something positive that we had almost 10,000 backers, and a lot of them had great feedback that we initially thought would be, okay, this we will implement for our next version of the machine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but due to the delays with COVID, we decided that we can implement some of them already now, and it resulted in the first product we launched is kind of our 2.0 already.
Yeah. Yeah. So like first machine 2.0 already from the start. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I think that also probably helped you with, you know, people not having a negative experience because they were missing certain features because they were already incorporated in that. Um, and did you also do research before you created that prototype to know what people wanted? And the feedback that they gave just came afterwards, after you also people started using it, or once you actually got the feedback, you realized, oh, we maybe have had to do more research before we even started it. Like, how did that go?
No, so basically the first prototype was developed by Bogdan, and I had some input about the design maybe, but we developed it ourselves. But then, since it generated so much interest, we could send out surveys to almost 10,000 people, and there were so much engagement coming from them with new ideas and what they want to have, and we asked them a lot of questions at that time during the development of the final product. And that was worth so much for us to be able to get that input.
Okay, so you kind of already had that input, but then because of Corona, then you could already incorporate that right from the get go.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. And is there like, would you say that Corona was a turning point also for the business, that you that things from then onwards actually got easier because you already had the 2.0, or was there another moment in time where you said like, okay, this is a point where we really started taking off?
Um, yeah, well, we actually there were other challenges as well. That's something that we should not hide. We One example is about our entire business model. I mean, how we sell, and we
Hmm.
made some pivots in that regard actually, because when we first started the crowdfunding campaign, the crowdfunding campaign per se is D2C. But we
Yeah.
heard from everyone we met during the journey that this you should be a B2B brand and target retailers and distributors and so on. So that kind of got into our mindset and was actually how we first built our business model. But we've never been afraid of changing direction slightly. So when we didn't see good results in that area immediately, we said, okay, let's try if we can sell it directly to consumer, like
Hmm.
we originally did in the crowdfunding campaign. And that's when we kind of saw the immediate response. We had a closer connection with our customers, and better profits for each sale we did and so on. So then we kind of pivoted back to being a D2C brand and decided this is the way we will go moving forward.
Okay, and did it, because you pivoted quite a bit, you were actually flexible in making a change whenever it needed. I think that was especially in the beginning for you, then probably also a bit of a strength. And is it because it was just you and Bogdan, or like how big was the team working on it?
Yeah, I mean, at that point we had started to hire a few people for sure, and we also hired people who would, with like the B2B route in mind, and we thought uh, of a certain strategy on how to build the business. But when
Hmm.
we didn't see that good traction in that area, yes, we were definitely open to change and test new things. So we kind of simultaneously started a D2C uh, strategy. And there, when we saw good traction there, we kind of canceled the B2B plans and just went D2C. So that was a big learning for us and an interesting journey.
Was it easy to get everyone on board to make that switch, or were there some people that were like, nah, not sure, are we doing the right thing?
No, of course, it requires a lot of analyzing and thinking and brainstorming, strategizing, and so on to see what will this mean for, because it is a big decision,
Hmm.
and it affects how you build a brand, how you set up the supply chain and sales channels, and so on. So I think in the end, everybody was on board because we want to help people drink more tea and better tea, and whatever way we need to go in order to achieve that will be the best one for us.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And maybe it's good to also, because I kind of jumped straight into your journey with Bogdan and the team, but we haven't talked about the machine that much. Maybe you can tell a bit more about the machine and what it does, because I'm a tea drinker. I drink quite a few cups a day. So and I'm always struggling with when you get or buy these loose leaf teas, because it's always a bit of a mess to steep it in and to wash all the stuff. So, and I believe you also have a solution for that. So maybe you can share a bit more about the machine and how it works.
Yeah, sure. So, as we discussed earlier, Bogdan was frustrated that basically the only thing that was available to make tea was the kettle, where
Yeah.
you heat up water and then you mix it with tea, and everything is manual. Especially if you want to have a good cup of tea, you need to care about time, temperature, water amount, and things like that. So our machine actually automates the whole process. The experience is kind of similar to using a Nespresso machine for coffee. But of course, the Nespresso machine, they are famous for their capsules. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a big difference with our products, that we don't use any capsules or pods. So it's an open system. You can brew any kind of tea, loose leaf or tea bags, at the push of a button. You can select your own time and temperature settings, or select one of the pre-programmed setting that we have in the
Mm-hmm.
machine, or standard settings for green tea, black tea, herbal teas, and so on. And so you put the tea in, press the button, and it will be served directly in your cup. And we also have increased convenience with that, because we have patents already granted as well for the cleaning system inside the machine. So you
All right.
never have to clean the machine manually, which
Okay.
is a big problem for a lot of similar products.
Like the scaling, for example, is it also something that you have a solution for?
Of course, that's something we thought of. So in our water tank, we do have our own water filter that you can insert and remove a lot of the lime scale. So you
Yeah.
don't have to worry that much about that. But of course, depending on where you live and so on, and the water quality in your area, you might need to descale once in a while as well. But we offer a convenient solution for that as well.
Great. And you can set your own temperature. If you like to drink it on 80 degrees, that's fine. If you want to just have it boiling hot, that's you can just make it how you want it.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, flavor is very personal. So you might
Mm-hmm.
prefer something different than what I do.
Yeah.
So we really want to offer our customers the possibility to customize and brew it their own way.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have a lot of different teas, and they do require different settings. We always mention the example of green tea. We hear it so often that people say, "No, no, but I don't really like green tea because it's so bitter." But that's then basically you have not had a proper green tea. Then I'm sorry to say it, but you might have steeped it for too long or at
Yeah.
a too high temperature.
That's
So
what
it
I
will.
have. Like whenever I'm like, ooh, it's because I let the bag in for too long. I put it in, I walked away, I forgot, and then it gets really bitter. Yeah, and I realize that. But the
Yeah.
temperature also has an impact on that.
Yeah, definitely. The temperature plays a big role in the quality of, depending on the tea, depending on the temperature and so on, will affect the result that you have in your cup in the end of the day. And that's something that the tea connoisseurs have been aware of for a long time, and they have been manually measuring time and temperature. So when we first launched, they just loved our product because
Mm-hmm.
finally a machine that does it automatically for me.
Yeah.
But what is interesting is that we also see the biggest part of our customers might not see themselves as tea connoisseurs. They just want to have a really good cup of tea in a convenient way, and they love our machine for that reason. In combination as well with, because of course we sell our own teas as well, and
Mm-hmm.
that's something we do a lot of testing and figure out what our customers actually want to have. But again, the convenience that we have offer our teas on a subscription model, so that you have it every month, and the tea that you want to have, you can change it, of course, if you want to have another tea the next month, and so on. So it's all about that, simplifying the life of our customers.
Yeah, I think that is also what you see a lot, to make life a bit easier for people, because, we're all very busy, work, kids, they have to go to soccer practice and whatever. Like, you're always on the way. And what you said, that Nespresso and Dolce Gusto and all these other coffee machines did for the filter coffee, basically, which was more time consuming. You need to measure how much coffee you had, you had to put the filter bag in it, the amount of water. It was a bit of a process. Well, now it was a press of a button, and whoop, your coffee is ready. You also give that convenience by, you don't have to think. You can just put your settings, the temperature you want, the kind of tea you have, and it's ready with the push of a button. And I think that that's really helpful for a lot of people. Of course, also for the people that are connoisseurs, that they don't have to fidget with all the different kind of things to make their preferred set of coffee. It's nice to do, or tea. It's nice to do once in a while, but like, if you drink a lot of cups a day, you don't want to spend an hour in the kitchen in total to always make your tea how you want it, right?
No, you're absolutely right. And yeah, to summarize it a little bit, that's what we offer actually. I mean, we usually talk about three things that we offer: convenience, consistency, and sustainability. So convenience is about what you just described, that to have in an effortless way a really good cup of tea. Consistency is, of course, about quality of the tea that you drink, and you want to have it the same every time. If you find your perfect setting,
Yeah,
like we were mentioning before, you might like it if you brew it at 90 degrees, while I prefer it at 80 degrees. You can, with our machine, you can really easily find it and brew it the same every time. And then finally, sustainability, because there is actually a lot of waste going on when people make tea, because they heat up more water than they need.
yeah,
Uh, and I think most people can imagine a kettle where you usually even have a minimum filling level. That's usually a lot more water than you need for your one cup of tea.
yeah,
And that requires additional energy to heat up all that water. And that's
yeah,
something that
true.
we focus on a lot with our products to be sustainable. And so in our machine, you only heat the water that you need, and in a very efficient way, so it requires less energy.
I really love it. Like, and maybe it's because I'm a tea drinker, but everything is really well thought of. Like, from A to Z, it looks like it. And is there anything like what you're currently thinking about for the future? Like, where what do you want to go to with Brew Tea?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of the product, this is our first model that has been developed for home use in mind. But we have other products in the pipeline that we want to develop. We have smaller machines, bigger machines. We have had so many requests from other channels as well. Take hotels, for example, which could be a very interesting channel for us to explore with and develop the perfect hotel room
Ah,
tea
yeah.
machine, or perhaps combined with a coffee machine. Who knows?
And
That we
also
will
maybe
see
for
in the
like
future.
cafes and restaurants that they are interested. Like,
Exactly.
maybe again the
Exactly.
B2B side again.
Exactly. Finally tap into the B2B side and do a
Yeah.
fully automatic machine where you don't need to measure the tea or anything. Those things will be part of our future.
Yeah, awesome. And do you predict any challenges along the way? Like, what do you feel like this is something that we might need to battle or overcome in order to get there?
Yeah, well, honestly, one of the big challenges for us has been funding when you're a hardware product and not being able to finance enough stock. But we actually have some new investors who have joined us recently. So right now we are really stepping into the scale up stage. So we will not run out of stock again, hopefully.
Okay,
And
good.
yeah, moving with that. And of course, that by itself will result in a lot of new challenges when we are opening up new markets and serving more customers. But we don't see right now any major hurdles that is like holding us back.
And how do you feel like, what can you do then to prepare for that? Because you feel like confident to tackle that and to get into those markets. How do you prepare for that? Because you seem quite relaxed about it all.
Yeah, well, a lot goes into planning, of course, but I also think during our journey we have an even stronger mindset about that nothing is impossible. If we run into an issue, we know that we will be able to solve it. You just need to keep your head down and keep pushing, and you will find a solution.
Yeah, what I've like, I'm not in your business, of course, but what usually helps for me is to take it just step by step. You know, sometimes the big picture looks like a bit overwhelming, and what helps for me is to say like, okay, let me just do this step first, and then once you do that, the next step, and before you know it, you look back, and you think like, you know, there may be still a lot to do, but then you look back, you're like, look how far I've already come.
Yeah.
And that, yeah, is for me usually a good way to stay motivated, because I can imagine that, you know, with some setbacks that you sometimes have and some struggles that you have, it is challenging to motivate yourself every day to be there and to strive and to grow the business. Like, how do you motivate yourself?
Great point. First of all, that yeah, take one step at a time, and eventually you will get the whole picture. But for me to stay motivated, it's has so much to do with our customers. When we started sales and starting to see real feedback from our customers that they love the product and so on, that was probably the most motivating thing for me. That wow,
Mm-hmm.
we have been able to create something that people love, and then you just want to share that with more people and get
Yeah.
more people involved.
Yeah, I think that is great. I mean, I'm already very happy that I hear how much your customers are involved, because, you know, I speak with a lot of brands, and sometimes there is not a big connection between the brand and the customer. And usually in the beginning there is, but then it kind of fades away. And it shows for you how important it is to stay in touch with your customer. It helps you to create, you know, the 2.0 version right from the get-go. But not only that, it also helps you to stay motivated and you kind of remember why you're doing it. I think that
Yeah,
that's great. I think that's really
exactly.
great.
And on that note, one thing that we decided to do was to not work with a marketing agency, actually, and a lot of it has to do with that reason. That I mean, there are great marketing agencies out there, but they will never be as engaged and passionate about your brand as you are
Hmm.
yourself. So we decided that this was an important thing for us to do in-house, because you get so much closer to the customer. You see their
Yeah.
feedback, you hear their questions, you understand what kind of communication and design and so on that works and what does not work. So that was a key thing for us actually, to
You know, you're
decide.
selling this to a guy who runs a marketing agency, right? No,
Well,
but like, okay, kidding
that's why
aside, like,
I started by saying there are great marketing agencies out there.
yeah, no, I'm just teasing you. In fact, that's also something that I share and tell as well, myself. That like marketing agency, and I like to see us as a marketing agency that cares. Like, we're also a boutique agency, right? For that reason, because the bigger you get, the more it's about revenue and profit. But you can never get that passion as if your, for example, your own money is on the line, or your own livelihood, right? Or you do it from your own passion. Like, you try to get close as an agency, but you're never fully in it. That's just that's not really possible. And that's why, you know, like, we have a service where we actually teach people how to do it, because we say like, hey, if you do it, you have skin in the game, and
Mm,
you will get sometimes better results. Like, we give the guidance, because, you know, it's, can imagine that for you sometimes it's also challenging to figure everything out on your own, and be
yeah,
time consuming. And but so, no hard feelings there. I know what you mean, and yeah, it's true. It's good to, if you even work with a marketing agency, that you kind of know what they do. If you don't, for example, no understanding of Google Ads, it's also very difficult to kind of evaluate them to see if they do a good job or not, right? They might be doing a good
absolutely.
job, but it's good if you know. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
fully understand
absolutely.
that.
Fully agree with that, and not saying agencies are bad. I just want to highlight that we have used agencies as well, but it's definitely good to be involved yourself, because yeah, in order to get close to the
Yeah,
customer and understand your
yeah.
business that way. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah, great. And what I'm also very, I like this question, and maybe you don't, but it's always good to reflect on what you did. And if you could go back a couple of years and you could tell the bit younger Philip, like, hey, don't do this. Like, what would be something that you would do different?
That's a good question. There's definitely a few things that we could have done differently, of course. I mean, I wouldn't say we wasted time when we pivoted from B2B to D2C, but of course, we would have saved a lot of time if we decided one way from the beginning.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't have any experience from before from fundraising, and we kind of underestimated the time required to raise a round of funds, and the commitment. You need to be really 100% focused on it for a long time, unless you're very lucky and find the right investor immediately. So if I could go back, I would definitely equip myself with a little bit of understanding and knowledge about fundraising and what it requires in order to do it in a good way.
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense. I mean, it would also save you a lot of time. But then again, you didn't have that knowledge back then. But it would be great if there would be a future Philip who could just whisper a bit in your ear and tell you what to do. Yeah. And is there
Exactly.
something that surprised you from, because you're like in e-commerce and in this world of selling D2C? Is there something that surprised you, or that you really didn't know, like, oh, if I didn't really know that this existed, or that this would happen?
I have a background in marketing, so I've been part of a lot of e-commerce, like driving brands online, let's say, before. So I did have somewhat an understanding about how it works. So yeah, not sure if I had anything I didn't know at all.
So you weren't caught by surprise by something.
No, I wouldn't say so. Not entirely. Like I was shocked by something.
And is there maybe something that you think is weird? Like, this is a phenomenon in e-commerce that I don't really understand why that is.
Well, it is a special mindset for sure. I mean, for us, it has been so important to drive profitable sales as well. I know a lot of companies they want to scale as fast as possible, and then you figure out profitability somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
But feedback that we heard from investors and the market in general is that those days are kind of gone. Maybe for some
Okay.
businesses it still works, but for us, it has definitely been a focus for us to drive profitable sales from day one, basically, and that's something that in the end the investors really liked as well. And then there's a big exercise in order to understand your e-commerce properly, to calculate the actual ROAS, return on ad spend, and things like that, so that you actually manage to have a sustainable business.
Yeah.
That has been a big journey for us, with everything that has been involved from the supply chain, shipping to the customer acquisition cost, and the final fulfillment.
Yeah. Did you
So
also
to
see something like changing in the last few years in the e-commerce landscape?
Well, it goes up and down. We follow the trends a lot and to stay up to date on how the performance is in general on platforms like Meta, TikTok, and Google, and so on. You can do this by following a couple of newsletters online. Um, but for us, it has been about our own communication more, to figure out what message, what hooks, what kind of communication works best for our customers. And when we first started, we had basically no idea, so we started testing a lot. small
Yeah.
scale testing, different messaging, different hooks, and so on. And then eventually, if you do it properly, you will figure out what works best, where you do see the right return on ad spend and so on needed. And then you just have to double down on that.
Yeah, I love it. The testing mindset, as of course also like we do CRO, so of course testing is also a bit big in our mindset. But it's good to know what works and what doesn't, and also if something is working, maybe it can actually be better if you have a different version of that copy, for example. So it's always good to iterate and try to improve. And is there
Yeah.
something that if someone would start today with an e-commerce brand, like what kind of advice would you give that person, the golden tip?
We mentioned a few things like testing and take one step at a time. I think those are
Mm-hmm.
really, really important. Um, I mean, don't be afraid to fail with things. Don't be afraid to test things. I mean, we have done it many times where we implement something in our marketing or in our web shop, and then we see the next day that conversion rate dropped
Mm-hmm.
completely. In the beginning, we started to freak out, like, "Oh, what's wrong? Why did this
Yeah.
happen?" But then you take small steps and you test and you see, okay, this worked slightly better. Let's do that, and then you take the next step, and
Yeah.
eventually you start to have the whole thing starting to perform quite well, actually. So there's a lot of bits and pieces that, yeah, contribute to the full,
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. Great advice. And I like sometimes, and I that's a bit also my own like pitfall that you try to do something perfect right from the start. And I need to remind myself like it's not about doing things perfect from the get go. It's about trying to do it right. And if you fail or if you fall, that you just get up back on that horse and try again. It's not about having one clean ride. It's about getting there and just get up every time. And before you know it, you're much further than you thought you would be. Like I said before, like taking a step at a time. I really love that advice. Yeah. All right, Philip. I think a lot of valuable insights also for people that are doing currently running an e-commerce brand, but also people that want to start, like taking a step at a time and ride the challenges as you go and make something that is maybe looks like a negative, turn it into something positive. I really admire your positive intake in that, like your attitude to just try and test and keep on trying and see, okay, what can we learn from this and how can we use it for the better. I think you need to have that mindset to succeed, and I think that also is why you have a beautiful product out there that people love, with the customer feedback that you not only take to heart but also motivates you every day. I think that's great. And I have a kind of one final question for you about BRU Tea, and that's like, well, where would you see yourself in 3 to 5 years from now?
Uh, yeah, 5 years is a long time, but
Yeah, in e-commerce, it's
no,
a, it's a decade,
no, yeah, exactly. No, but of course we have a plan. I mean, right now we are entering scale up stage. This year we will launch new markets and really start to grow in a profitable way. But of course, our ambition is to make Brew a global brand. We will
Hmm.
not just grow in Europe, but also enter the US and become a household name when it comes to tea. That's my ambition, and yeah, something we really dream about. That the day
Hmm.
where we start to see brand awareness out there in the market, and people start to talk and say, "Ah, yeah, how do you brew your tea using your Brewmaker One?" Yeah, we see a great future ahead of us. Interest in tea is growing, health awareness trends and so on is contributing to that. So
Yeah.
we are very excited and in a really good spot right now to continue to grow.
Yeah, I see it also around me that the tea, a lot more flavors you see nowadays, not just green tea, black tea, and rooibos. You see a lot more different flavors. Also, actually, they are not even tea; they're more like infusions. So it really grows. And I think it would be great that in 3 to 5 years, if people would come to someone's home and they see the machine, they won't even ask what it is; they just know. It's not
Yeah,
like, hey, what do you have there? They just, it's yeah, everyone has one, right? That would,
yeah.
that would be great.
Exactly.
Just one of those brew tea machines. Who doesn't have it, right?
Yeah,
That would be the dream. Yeah.
yeah. And if you walk into a home where someone don't have our product, you say, "What? You still on that old kettle solution?"
Yeah,
You should.
when they see it, they're like, you know what? I'll have a coffee instead.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Philip, thank you so much. I really enjoyed our chat today. And again, I think very valuable insights for not only people that are in e-commerce, but also the people, the buyers, the consumers that feel like, they can see the people behind the brand and the passion that they have. And I think that just is a bit what the world needs a bit more nowadays. So I want to thank you for being here and to share your incredible story. And I'm already looking forward. I'm going to just go to your website. I'm probably just going to buy one today. I really in the mood for that brew tea machine. Thank you very much, Philip.
Good. Thank you so much. Great talking to you.